Hello and welcome to Around the Clock. I'm your host, Yolanda Greaves. Every once in a while we get to bring you a special story, and today is one of those days. We have with us today Jake Silva. Jake, welcome to Around the Clock.
Hi, nice to be here.
Good. We've had many stories about Jake and some of the things that he and his family have been dealing with it, so it's a real treat, Jake, to have you here to talk to and to hear about what you've dealt with and some adventures you've been on, and then sort of next steps.
All right.
So first, tell us a little bit about yourself. How old are you? How long have you lived in Ashland?
So I lived in Ashland pretty much since I was about around pretty much first grade, kindergarten. And I'm 18 and I'm going up to college pretty soon. And I'm going to be going to Springfield to study communications and sports journalism.
Okay.
So
for those of you who don't know, the reason we've told Jake stories is he has dealt with an illness. Jake, are you willing to share what that is and how it might have affected you?
So in 2016, I got diagnosed with osteosarcoma, which is like a rare form of bone cancer. And when I first heard you have cancer, most people don't know what to think. My first thing was, obviously, you had my mom, my stepdad, and my dad there. They were all, they couldn't really hold it together. My first thing when I asked the doctor, most people go oh, what's my chance of living and all this stuff. Mine was, will I be able to play football again? And will I be able to get my license, which is scheduled in September.
Okay.
And then they're no, and we'll see. And I'm oh, great.
Okay, so you were diagnosed with the osteosarcoma.
Yeah.
And so you were 16, so not even 2 years ago, or just over 2 years ago.
Yeah, pretty much just over 2 years ago. Yeah, so long road.
Okay, and what were some of the first things once you found out about the diagnosis that happened?
It was really quick. I found out the second week of May, third week of May, I started a really aggressive chemo. So it was, and I had my port in, I had a biopsy on my leg, and that was all in the course of just that week. And then they gave me a rest.
Wow. Okay.
And then they gave me a rest, and they're all right, we'll give you, because my last thing was on Friday, on the Friday, and then they said, all right, you're gonna start chemo on Wednesday, and I'm awesome. we're really rushing into this.
Right.
But
so
they wanted to.
So once they found it, they wanted to aggressively treat it.
They're all right, this is an aggressive cancer. We're going to go at it hard. So I'm all right, just get it out of me, please.
Right. So you've had a number of surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of them, and what was the hardest part about those surgeries?
Well, my hardest one was definitely my leg surgery when they took out my tumor and then replaced it with a titanium rod. They took out my right knee and femur, so I have a 16-inch scar right there. The recovery time was my rehab time was really long and all that. And being in the hospital, they wanted me out, or they said you probably won't be out for 5 to 7 days or something like that. I was out in 4 days, so I kind of rushed through it a little bit, and I ended up making the rod in my leg loose.
Uh-oh.
Which they had to go in again, which is why I had to have another leg surgery. But for some reason, the second one wasn't that bad because all they were doing was just replacing it. They weren't taking out any, disease. So I was okay. That's what you get for rushing.
There you go. And
take your time. And
where are you now with the cancer?
I am completely done. There's no signs of cancer. There could still be tiny little things, but they didn't see any. So I've been doing a chemo pill that's kind of supposed to maintenance it, or if there's still tumors in my lungs because I went up to my lungs in July of 2017. So if it goes, so there's some of my lungs, they'll the chemo will either make it not grow, or will either shrink it. So that's kind of the goal of doing this, just to maintenance it, make sure it doesn't get any bigger.
Okay, and from that perspective, it's similar to other cancers where if they see the small tumors, they keep you on the chemo to either control it or to completely get rid of it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, and that's the ultimate goal, is to be completely cancer-free.
Exactly. Okay. I call myself unofficially cancer-free because for my cancer, you need to have 5 years of good scans. Okay. I have only had at most 6 months, but So once it hits 5 years, then I'll be officially cancer-free.
Okay, so
which
we'll be
is
following that story.
Yes. Yes, we could have a big party in 2023.
There we go. So a year after. So you finished high school. What was it like to get through these last 2 years of high school?
Huge relief. It was such a big relief to get through that. It was, I mean, obviously all the teachers and all my friends made it really easy for me to, like, you know, not do work or just, you know, get through the year just talking to my friends who, like, pretty much were there for me, always, like, asking me, like, how I felt, if I, like, needed anything.
Nice.
And then, like I said, like, the teachers, like, regulating my workload so I didn't, like, stress myself out, or, like, if I wasn't in school, they wouldn't say, oh, you have to make this up, because
Right.
I was like, really? I was in the hospital getting poisoned.
Right. So they were the teachers were
But yeah,
working with you.
everything,
and,
yeah.
Oh, good. Good.
Miss Sinclair was, like, a really big help.
Good.
So.
Good. So you graduated in May with or early June with your
Yeah,
class. You're headed to Springfield. What are you going to be studying in Springfield?
Communication and sports journalism.
Nice.
So, yeah, I do that for this. Wow, this station.
The station.
The
Yeah,
station.
you've done some
Yes.
footage for us, some games.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things we've heard about is you were just on a very wonderful trip.
Oh, you heard?
We heard. Tell us a little bit, how you got to go on the trip, and then about the trip.
So when you get, like, a life-threatening disease or like cancer or something like that, then you get, like, kids that are under 18 get to make a wish. So
Okay.
since I got diagnosed when I was 16, I got to make a wish, and they finally, you know, went through with it, which is why I got to make a wish. And my wish was to go to Africa. So pretty much over, like, the past 10 days, on what was it, August 14th is when we went. We were in Africa. We went to Cape Town, we went to Table Mountain, went cage diving with sharks, which was really fun. We went on a safari in Kruger National Park, and it was just something that was really incredible. The whole trip.
So Cape Town. So what was the travel time like to get there, and who went with you?
So it was my stepdad Tony, my mom, my sister Hallie, and me. And we flew from Boston to Amsterdam, there was a 6-hour time difference right there. So we were kind of, like, you know, we weren't really with their time, but when we got to, like, Africa, we were with their time a little bit, because and then from Amsterdam to Africa, it was an 11-hour flight.
Now, was this your first time traveling internationally, or had you been outside of the country before?
I had been outside of the country, first time being outside of the continent.
Okay.
So that was the first time in Europe and Africa.
Did you get to spend any time in Amsterdam, or was it just a layover?
We had a 4-hour layover, but while we were there, we went to this bakery, and there was this worker there. His name was Sean. He talked to us for like 45 minutes. He was from Holland. He was a really good guy. So we made a Dutch friend.
Good. Dutch friends are good to have.
Yes, they're really nice too. Much nicer
So
than
then you
Americans.
continued on your trip from Amsterdam to South Africa.
11-hour flight.
11 hours. Wow. What did you do to keep yourself busy?
Watched a couple movies, and then I think I just listened to music on my phone for the rest of the time and fell asleep. Had to get up and walk around.
Yeah.
Because 11 hours, nobody can sit for 11 hours.
Right. So you get to Cape Town, and first impressions as you walk out of the airport.
I was like, wow, I'm in Africa. But my mom was like, I'm not really feeling Africa yet. I'm like, that's because we're in the city. But if you weren't in Africa, then it wouldn't be like, you wouldn't have like a 16-hour flight. You can't fly to California in 16 hours. You know that you're out of the continent, Mom.
Right.
Like,
so
was funny about
how
it.
many days did you spend in Cape Town?
5, I believe.
Okay.
And then we went to Kruger, which is it's like a national park, but we went to like this game reserve that was like part of it pretty much.
Okay.
And we were there for 3. We went on like 3 safaris, so that was fun.
So first day of the safari, what were some of the animals that you saw?
I can't even say how many. There were so many. Like elephant, Cape buffalo, impala, lion, leopard, giraffe. Everything.
Okay. So if you were to imagine it, you saw it.
I mean, you've seen The Lion King. It's pretty much those animals.
Wow. Wow. So you said you did 3 different safaris, so 3 different days?
So yeah, so
Different
each,
areas of the
so
reserve?
Yeah, no, it's all like in the same part, like, but like what you do is you go on, like, they call it game drive. So you go on a game drive at like 6:30 in the morning to 9:30. You have breakfast at like 10. Then you like have 5.5 hours to just rest and do whatever you want. Sit by the pool, watch animals at the water hole from like the back deck, which is really fun. And then at 2:30 you have lunch, and then 3 o'clock you go on another game drive till 6, and then you have dinner, and then you pretty much have dinner. You sit around, talk. The adults go and have drinks, and then you got to go to you want to go to bed by like 9 because you got to get up at like 5:30 in the morning
For the next day,
Yeah.
for another one.
hmm But it was so fun, and it tires you out. So it's like going to bed at 9 is nothing hard.
Yeah. How close were the animals? I mean, like, did you feel like you could touch them? Did you touch them? Or?
No, I mean,
No petting?
they're wild animals. You don't want to touch any of them. But one of them, there was like these like kind of antelope things, the impala, and one of them was pretty much right where I am to you.
Wow.
Like, because they would go inside like the lodge area, and like they're so used to like the people, and they would just feed on the grass that you could like walk by them, take a video of them, and they would just keep on eating, and then they're like mesmerized by.
Okay, you
by
said
the
in the
grass.
lodge area, so
So-
where you were staying,
so
it was
yeah,
open
so-
enough for them to come in?
Yeah, so during the day they open up the gates, and like there's like an opening in like the fence. They have like a fence around it pretty much, but like they leave like an opening it because like they want you to feel like you're like in the actual African bush.
Okay.
So, but at the same time they don't want like, you know, a ton of lions coming in.
Right.
But like they have like lions and leopards coming into camp sometimes. We had hyenas come into camp on our first night. There were some lions by the water hole when we were eating dinner. Same with the leopard. We saw a leopard while we were eating dinner. And it's kind of like, you know, you're eating meat, and you know how like, you know, those
Yeah.
big cats are attracted to meat. You're like eating your beef, and then you're just like looking out, making sure like that leopard doesn't like smell it, and you know just jumps up on the thing on your deck and just starts to attack. I'm like, oh, like it was really fun though.
So
I don't
as you were seeing these animals and just being in that experience, what did it feel like for you? What was the feeling or emotion that you had?
I was ecstatic. It was incredible. I mean, you don't see those animals here unless like they're in cages, so you see them like in their natural habitat, not harmed by humans. It's so much better to see how like they actually act in the wild. It's really cool.
What was your favorite animal to see that close and in the wild
Oh,
like that?
leopard. Leopards.
Oh, yeah?
Or I don't know, leopards or hyena. There was a hyena that came pretty much like right up to the car. It was like biting the wheels.
Oh, wow.
And I just like looked down, and it's like this far away from me. Like I could literally reach out and touch it.
Wow.
And I was like, you know, I'm like, okay, hyena, just back away, please.
And are the elephants and giraffe, I mean, you see elephants
You see-
either in the zoo but
Yeah.
in the wild like that, what does that look like, and what is that sense of feeling by seeing the animals wild?
I mean, it makes you. I mean, like for me, who's like an animal lover, it makes you happy that to see like animals that are, you know, not in cages at all.
Mm-hmm.
But and then seeing them, I mean, you see those are like the animals that you see all the time. So like whenever you see, my mom was like after you see like the elephants on the third day, when you stop for them and you're like, all right, that's just elephants. Let's keep going. We've already seen those. But it's still like really cool because you don't know how they're gonna act because they're not around people that much.
Right,
So like
right.
it could be eating from a tree. Next thing you know, it just turns on you. It just stares you down. Where like you're at a zoo. It's just, you know, there's a trainer. There's like a zookeeper just feeding it, and
Right,
then you're like,
right.
oh wow, it's just gonna be feeding and nothing's gonna happen.
Right.
But
right.
it's just much better than a zoo.
So I want to go back. You mentioned something
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
cage diving
picked-
with
oh, you picked
sharks.
that up?
Oh yeah, just a little. So what was that like?
That was so fun. So we went on this boat thing where they took us out to see sharks. They said they haven't seen they were like, all right guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. These are like the people that do like the thing.
Right.
They're like, we haven't seen a shark all day. So we don't know if we'll see one, because obviously you got to go in like thinking like, okay, you might not see a shark.
Right.
So we got there. We were out there for 4 hours, or that's how long we were scheduled to be out on a boat. And then 2 hours had passed, and there's like 20 people on the boat. About half of them were throwing up on the side of the boat.
Oh, no.
It was so bad, and like everybody took obviously like if you know you're gonna have sickness, like everybody takes like
Dramamine or something,
like
yeah.
all those pills, and everybody took that. They said, and yet they're all still having a good time off the boat, throwing off
That's
the
not
boat.
good.
And so everybody's like, I don't know. She's like, do you guys really want to stay in? Because it was like also windy too. And then I'm like, we've been on here for 2 hours. What if a shark comes like the next 5 minutes? Like,
Right.
And then my mom's like, well, you can say the same thing for if it happens after 4 hours. I go like, yeah, but then at least I know my time is up.
Right. Right.
And then 30 minutes later, a shark came, and then I was like, and I just look at everybody, and I just go like, ha, because like
You were right.
I was right.
Stay a little longer.
The shark guy, who is up like looking for the shark as well, was like, hey, you were right. You're the man, buddy. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I mean, I really wanted to see a shark, so and I got to, and then as soon as we got in the cage, we didn't see it at all, but we like after 20 minutes people had to get out, and then I was like, I'll stay in for like 10 more minutes, and like they let me stay in for 10 more minutes, and there was the shark at like the other boat, which apparently was like 5 yards away from us, and then I went under to try to see the shark, but the water was so murky that you couldn't see it.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what, I don't care. I was in the same water as the shark and it was 5 yards away from me. I will take it.
Good for you. Good.
So, yeah.
What great adventures.
Oh, it was so fun.
And so you said 5 days in Cape Town, and then the reserve.
Yep.
And how did you finish up the trip?
Well, so we had that was pretty much it, and then we flew to Johannesburg that was like a 45-minute flight. It was really quick, but we had an 8-hour layover there. So we were stuck in the airport for 8 hours, and we couldn't go out, or else we'd have to go through the security again.
Right.
And security is just a pain in the butt. So we didn't want to go through that, and especially with my leg, it goes off every time. So we just like sat around, had lunch, had dinner, and then we got onto our flight at 6 or 8, and then it was a 16-hour flight to Atlanta. So we were on the
So it was
flight
direct from Johannesburg to Atlanta.
Yeah,
Wow.
but it was 16 hours. It was way too long.
That's a long flight.
And then you had the 6 going back, 6 hours. So it was like 10 hours because we left at 8, landed at 6 in the morning, but it was still a 16-hour flight. It's like, the time travel, the whole time traveling thing is.
Yeah, as you switch
It's
time
like,
zones, going from place to place,
it's
your
like,
body.
I know, it's like, isn't it 10 hours? Then my mom's like, no, it's not 10 hours, it's 16. I go like, but it'll feel like 10. She's like, it'll feel like 16. And
It'll feel like 16.
I'm like, really? And then she's like, actually, it'll feel like a day, but it's actually, I'm like, oh, awesome. But yeah, and then it was only a 2.5-hour flight from Atlanta to Boston.
That's good.
So
now, do you enjoy traveling?
yeah, I don't mind it. I mean,
Is it something you hope to do more in the future? Travel? I mean, you're going for journalism and sports,
Yeah.
so
wherever they send me, if they want me to move to LA and then like if they want me to like follow the sports team and then I gotta follow them, I'll follow them.
So that was just going to ask. So is that your goal to either report on a specific team or work with a specific team?
Yeah,
or?
that's one of my goals. And then like when I was in Africa, my mom also said, she realized how much I love animals and how much like I know about them and all that. So I've been out of school for like a good amount of time because out of like the past 2 years, I've probably been in school for like 6 months. Mm-hmm. Because junior year, I wasn't in school pretty much at all.
Right.
Senior year, because of
The surgeries
yeah, exactly,
and
all the chemo and all that fun stuff.
Right.
And then my senior year, I was only in there for like 4 months, and then I was on chemo again, so I was missing like 6 months. So my mom said, if like you're not really good, or if like college isn't really working out for you, you're not having that much fun, you're too stressed, and then because once you like stop them, like there's probably no hope for me being a sports broadcaster. But my fallback, which is, since I love animals, she said that she would send me to Africa to learn to be a safari guide.
Oh wow!
So I might train to be a safari guide if I ended up not liking college.
Right.
And if it's just like too much on me, but I'm obviously going to try it out because, payment's already in.
Well, it's always good to go and explore and try and
exactly.
see.
I'm gonna try it out for a year, and whatever happens, will happen. I mean, I'm not gonna complain. Obviously, I want to do some of the sports because I love sports a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, I wouldn't be doing.
I mean, sports have been part of your whole life, right?
Exactly. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be doing the announcing thing if I did not like sports.
Right.
So,
right. Good. What's
it's
your
definitely-
favorite sport to announce for?
I mean, I only really do basketball I do basketball and baseball, but basketball is definitely my favorite. That's what I do the most.
A little more stuff going on, a little more excitement.
Yeah,
movement.
I could do football, but I always played football. Like I was always on the sidelines.
Right.
So I'm like, I can't really announce that. So I'm more of like football. I like to be on the sidelines with my team. For basketball, since I only played freshman year, I was like, I think basketball will be my sport. Basketball, baseball.
So what do you do to keep yourself fit now that you're almost cancer free and you probably have to be careful for impact sports? What do you do to keep yourself fit and in shape?
Well, you see, it starts off
active.
with getting up and down a lot on my chair. I get up to go to the fridge and then I come back down. It's just in my recliner for 10 hours. No, since I can't really do that much, I play cornhole. I play golf because I can't really move my leg that much or that well. So like games where I can walk, kind of take my time. I can do, I can shoot a basketball around, go on the treadmill, just walk, elliptical or anything like that. Pretty much anything, any sport that doesn't involve contact.
Right.
So or that does not involve me stopping, tennis. I could probably do a game of tennis, but if I just stood there and just hit it, I wouldn't be able to stop on it.
Right.
I can't do that stop on an instant thing.
Okay.
But yeah.
So you're about to be a freshman in college.
Oh yeah.
Counting
freshman.
down.
Ooh, freshman.
Where are you at in regards to being ready to go? Do you know your roommate? Are you classes set?
I have my classes set. My earliest class is at 10 a.m.
That's a good start.
Exactly. That's a great start. I'm in a medical room because if I need another surgery and I'm in a wheelchair, it's going to be a pain to go in a room with a roommate and be in a wheelchair and just annoying the crap out of them.
So that mean you don't have a roommate?
So I don't have a roommate. But I have a regular room, but it's just all to myself. I think I might have my own bathroom and all that stuff. But we don't know that yet. But yeah. So I have a room to myself.
Now, are you older or is your sister older?
My sister is. I'm older. My sister's 16.
So are your parents ready for you to go off to college? Or are they the nervous parents like most first-time college students?
No, they cannot wait to get me out of the house. My sister's already planning the designs to her new closet when I leave. She wants to turn my room into her closet, which I don't know where I'd be sleeping when I get home.
Yeah, because you do have to come home on breaks and holidays.
I don't think she knew. I don't think
she didn't think that was happening.
No. She's like, oh, he's leaving? All right.
Yes, not for good, sis.
So my shoes are going right here. My teachers will go right there. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, you're really excited for me to leave. I'm like, don't act too excited.
Good. So there are some of us who have followed your mom's Facebook postings about what you've been dealing with. Do you think you'll take those over, or do you think she'll continue them?
She will continue those.
Oh, okay.
That will be all her. My sister runs one on Instagram for people who don't have Facebook.
Okay.
So anything that my mom posts, my sister screenshots and posts it to the Instagram thing. So most kids use Instagram
these days,
and
yes.
most adults use Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook has become an adult thing.
Exactly. You adults took it over from us kids. But yeah, so my mom will keep up with the thing on Facebook, I'm hoping, and all that fun stuff. So. And my sister will keep up with the Instagram thing. Once she gets tired with that, I can do the Instagram one, but she hasn't offered, so I'm like, you know what, you can just keep doing the work.
There you go. You just got to make sure you send her pictures every once in a while so she can share what you're doing in college.
Exactly. I mean, sometimes I forget that I have one, or she'll forget, so I'll be like, Mom, shouldn't we post something to Team Jake? And then she'll be like, oh yeah, sure. And then she'll be like, why? And then I'm like, because we haven't posted something in 2 weeks, and I can guarantee people are asking you what's happening with Jake. And then, or sometimes she'll be like, Jake, I need a picture of you. I'm like, for what? She's like, for Team Jake. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, okay, I mean, if it makes the people happy.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us. And as I said, for our viewers, we've shared a lot of stories about you. So now for them to hear from you directly, I think is a great thing. To hear that you're pretty much cancer-free and that it's been a tough 2 years, but you're moving forward, I think that says so much about you and your family. And I think we as a community want to keep hearing about how you're doing. So hopefully you'll share your stories, and maybe you'll come back at some point and tell us maybe about the first year of college and how things are going.
Yeah, definitely.
Before I let you go,
right.
there's one question I ask every new guest to Around the Clock. So even though we've talked a lot about you, we haven't had you on. Is there something about you, Jake Silva, that people may not know that you'd be willing to share with our viewers?
Is there something that people don't know? I mean, most people, I guess some people know it, but the Dallas Cowboy running back, Ezekiel Elliott, him and I have been talking a lot, and he's inviting me to a Cowboys game to meet him in October.
Wow,
So
that's
yeah,
great.
most people don't know that, I guess.
That's exciting.
So yeah, so I'll be doing that in October.
Well, we look forward to hearing the stories
Yes.
and seeing the pictures.
Oh yeah, you'll see pictures.
Good. We'll have a great trip to Dallas then.
Thank you.
Good luck as you start college. And my one bit of advice
Oh, okay.
is
Good.
whatever you do, make smart decisions and make sure you're always safe no matter what you're doing. Because as a young person going to college these days, there's a lot that you have to deal with. So just think about making smart and safe decisions as you go forward.
All right, Will. Thank you.
Great. Jake, thank you so much for coming on Around the Clock.
Thank you so much for having me.
I hope you've enjoyed this special edition with Jake Silva, our own Ashland resident of Around the Clock. Thanks for watching.